What's going on, family? It's your girl, Dr. Shonna. We are here with another broadcast, Mental Health Fridays, but on a Saturday. Don't hold me to that, family. I know I was supposed to be here yesterday, but I was out. And not that you guys aren't important, because you guys are very much important. But you know what? My personal life is important too. But we are here. We're going to have a really good conversation. We're just going to call this one here Mental Health Saturday. And we're going to have a real good conversation. So I need you guys to all start coming in. Just let me know you're here on the feed. Go ahead and let's take care of some housekeeping things. Share the video. Share the video. Make sure you let everyone know that we are on. If you are on YouTube, give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell so that you can be notified when I'm going live. If you are on Facebook, make sure you share the video. Give me your little emojis, give me thumbs ups, likes, hearts, whatever the case is. I want to be able to have all of you guys engaged tonight if at all possible. So just bear with me. I'm going to slow this process down because I got to explain a concept that some people may not be aware of, and it's called racial battle fatigue. So that is what we're going to talk about. But I'm going to tell you this. When you go look up racial battle fatigue, based on what I'm sharing with you guys tonight, not only will you have a better understanding of what it is, but I am going to help many of you guys see it from a whole different angle. We're going to have this discussion because it's going to require us to look within ourselves. Shout out to my community member, Sid. Thank you for that donation, brother. I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you're actually on live. I hope you stay on tonight because we're going to have a really good conversation. This is going to require so many of us to look into ourselves, right? To see where we're showing up on the bad side of racial battle fatigue and where we are victims. And I don't like to use the word victims, but for sake of understanding, I'm going to say victims. What's going on, Lee? How you doing? Here's all my community members coming through. These are members of the channel. Shout out to you guys. How you're doing tonight? I'm so glad you're on. So let's go ahead and get started. Make sure you share the video. I love every last one of you guys. Here's Charles. Although Charles is not a community member, he's a long-standing follower on the community, on our channel, and I really appreciate him totally being here. We got somebody else coming in from Tanzania, if I'm not mistaken. And I love that he's here as well. This is Ramen, right? Listen, I don't know if he's from Tanzania. Maybe he's talking about me. I don't know. But let's have this conversation. Racial battle fatigue. Some of you guys may not be aware of the brother's name. His name is Dr. William Smith. And Dr. William Smith had coined this phrase back in 2003, if I'm not mistaken. You'll see some people out there reporting on 2008, but he actually did this in 2003 from the horse's mouth himself. He coined the phrase racial battle fatigue. Y'all got to really hear me out, sisters and brothers, because I'm letting you know a lot of you guys are going through this and you may not be aware of it. You may not be aware how this is impacting you. And I have to talk about this tonight because there's been so many people over the last few weeks. Thank you so much for that donation. There's been so many people over the last few weeks who have come to me for services, clinical services, and they have all reported the same feelings that they are going through, the same thing that they are experiencing. And so I say, you know something? This is very familiar. And I had to sit back and say, where did I hear this before? And of course, it was Dr. William Smith when he talked about racial battle fatigue being similar to those who have trauma who were veterans of war, right? It's like it says racial battle fatigue is like similar to being on a battlefield. But the difference is it has to deal with what we are going up against every day in this system, right? Not only in the system, I'm going to give you guys a different angle, but this is what racial battle fatigue is talking about, what we go up every day within this system, how we are living in environments that are not healthy for us, right? How we are engaging in environments that are chronically stressful, environments that are hostile, Environments that are unhealthy for us. They're highly competitive, right? It's an environment that's imbalanced. We're dealing with this every single day. In other words, let me say this another way. We experience fatigue. That means, for those of you guys who don't know, right? We experience fatigue, like meaning getting tired, beat up, worn out, experiencing physical symptoms. We're frustrated. Y'all gotta take heed of this. We're frustrated. We're defensive, very sensitive, right? Somebody say the wrong thing to us. We like, oh, these racist mother freakers, right? We're very sensitive. So we become very defensive, not only with the outside world, but also in people that's sitting shoulder to shoulder with us, very defensive. We're irritable. We're just tired of everything that's going on. Sudden mood shifts, right? Yes, like Sid is saying, constant state of rage. We're in a constant state of rage. We're angry. Every time something comes out on the news, we get shocked and we immediately respond. We're outraged of the things that we're seeing. We're disappointed. And most importantly, we're ruminating. We're ruminating. And what rumination means for so many people who are not aware of what the term rumination is, or to ruminate, that's when you have the same repeated thoughts over and over and over again in your head. You can't move on. Your mind is occupied by the same situation over and over again. You see, we see rumination mostly in like depressed people, right? Whatever happened, they keep playing over those same thoughts over and over again. Or we may see rumination and people who are victims of sexual abuse or other violence. They can't get it out their head, so they're constantly talking about it, or constantly reliving it, or constantly thinking about it. This is what rumination looks like. And there's been so many people who have come to me and they said, you know, I don't know why, but it seems like I can't move past these conversations. I'm so frustrated at work. I'm frustrated with my family members. I'm frustrated with media. I'm just frustrated. And everything I do, it all seems to go back to what we are experiencing here in this country. And I'm tired. I'm tired. And I know that the people who are coming to me for counseling are not the only ones that is experiencing this. See, I experience it too, but I want to give you guys a little different spin when I get there. I'm about to get there, but a different spin of what I have been experiencing. I know I'm not the only one, right? Look at what people doing. Sisters, could you please stop going to their nail shops and buy some less press-on nails from Target, or get some nails made from Pakistan? What is this person talking about? See this person right here. Y'all ready for the spin I'm about to put on this shit right now? This person right here that I just put up, he's also a problem of racial battle fatigue. I'm going to explain to you how. Watch. You'll see. He's also a problem when it comes to racial battle fatigue. So you got to understand, we're dealing with so much. We have so much fatigue that's going on in our community. We have it coming from experiencing an everyday battle with racially dismissive people, right? You know what I mean when I say racially dismissive people. They don't want to look at things for what it is. They always want to dismiss what you're going through, and they chuck it up to other things. And that's very frustrating for so many of us, because it's like invalidating our feelings and invalidating our experience. And then they try to gaslight us and make us feel like we are the crazy ones, like we are not aware of what is going on. We know what's up. Everybody else knows what's up as well, but they push away from it. They rather deflect about it. We don't get an opportunity to deflect. We have to deal with it every day of our waking lives. So to be dismissed by others contributes to our racial battle fatigue. To have to go up against demeaning, insensitive people contributes to our racial battle fatigue. Having to be in hostile work environments or hostile racial work environments or hostile racial environments, period, contributes to our racial battle fatigue. We have to deal with this on many different levels. See, every time someone hears about race, what I'm noticing, too many people narrow it down to individuals, right? Individuals, not realizing that what we go through is not just on an individual level. We are getting tired from battling a system that perpetuates racism, a system that perpetuates discrimination, a system that perpetuates prejudice and bias. I know a lot of us get caught up on individuals. The individuals don't bother me. The individuals don't bother me. The individuals don't wear me out. It's the system that wears me out. But I want you to know our community as a system. Listen to what I'm saying here. Our community as a system, you got to just think critically with what I'm saying here, also stresses me out. Y'all hearing me? You hearing me? See, let me show you how my community operates as a system. And what I mean when I say our community operates as a system, see, we have these working parts within our community that is toxic for us. People that pretend to be about our community, but they have other motivations, other motives, other goals that's outside of our well-being as a collective. And so they operate as a system within a system. So it's like those of us that are going up the system, we're working overtime because there are people in our community that operate like a system. And what they do is they look for opportunities for them to ride this race thing while at the same time hurting members of the community. Does that make sense? Are you guys following me what I'm saying? It's bad enough that I'm noticing our community struggles with looking at things that are gross and obvious, right? We get so sensualized and caught up on things that are obviously racist things, right? We know that. We see it clear as day. Somebody says you can't wear your hair in locks and go to the school and you get kicked out. And even though we know it has everything to do with race, they try to make it about hair, right? We get so upset and we get outraged because those things are gross, meaning like they're out there, they're obvious, you can't get away from it. But the system within our community, what they tend to do is ignore the many assaults on our community that is adding up. And the many assaults that they ignore is not just coming from outside sources. Oh, I don't know if y'all hearing me. I don't know if y'all hearing me. Let me say that in a different way. We have people in our community, family, that is working against us. And so many of us have our one-track glasses on, our blinders on, right? Our blinders, we have a one-track mind. We have our blinders on that we ignore the forces within our community that are going against us because our eyes see them as, oh, they're just like us. We turn around and we keep marching forward and we don't really stop to examine, are they really just like us? See, there's people within our community that are playing on the race card. Let me tell you something. I'm trying to tell y'all. They're contributing to our racial battle fatigue. They will play on the race card big time. And then when those of us who bring up the many, many assaults that are outright attacks on our community, they ignore those things. And therefore, it keeps what we are experiencing, it keeps it going. It perpetuates the issue that they're choosing to ignore because it doesn't serve them any purpose. You're following me? Are you following me? Y'all don't have to block Zoom, whatever the person's name is. Y'all don't have to block them. Just keep the name in mind and the statement in mind, because I'm going to show you guys how that statement also contributes to what we're going through. And this is what I mean when I say there's a system. See, some of y'all are in a system that is working against us and don't even realize. You think you're helping us. You think you're helping us, but you're not. And if you stick with me long enough, you're going to see exactly what I mean when I say you're not really helping us. And if we're not aware of these little microaggressions, if we're not aware of these little microaggressions that are happening within our community, right, we're never going to change. Because we always look at what's coming from outside of our community as an attack on us. Right? Sid says she didn't mean it, doctor. I don't know who you're talking about. Let me know who you're talking about, Sid. We're always looking at what's coming from the outside of our community. If somebody says something about us and they're not from our community, we're overly sensitive, we react, we respond. And then there's people in our community that will ride that wave to keep us angry, to keep us, riled up, keep us mad, enraged, frustrated, and they will ride it. They will ride it, and they will ride it and keep on riding. But when little attacks come toward us within our community, like don't act like we don't have a lot of shit that's coming from within our community that is wearing our asses out as well. I'm going to go over those. Just bear with me. We have a lot of shit within our community that's wearing our asses out. We have a lot of people in our community that is contributing to the madness. But because it's not done in an obvious way, we're not realizing the effects it's having on our community. Because we've been so conditioned to look at the attacks from coming outside of our community. Even with the framework of racial battle fatigue, it is a way of us to look outside of our community and look at the perpetrator being outside of us that we have to watch out for. We're trained to look at the microaggressions that is seen in advertisement, or the microaggressions or outright aggressions that are seen in propaganda. We're trained to see that easily. We're trained to see the layered insults that we deal with on a daily basis. We're trained to see the insults that center on our race, the layered insults, our race, our gender, our class, our sexuality, our language. Some of us, immigration statuses, our facial features, our accents. We're trained to see the threat from the outside of us, taking layered insults at us, layered insults on the Black man, layered insults on the Black woman, layered insults on the poor, layered insults on those who are same-sex, layered insults on so many different people within our community. We're trained to see it coming from outside of our community. And that is what they're classifying as racial battle fatigue, because we're fighting against individuals and we're fighting against systems that are attacking us because of these things, primarily our race, but these other issues too. But what about those intra attacks that comes from within our community? And it actually helps perpetuate white privilege. It actually helps perpetuate white supremacy, but it's coming from within our community. The all out attacks on each other from within our community. So we're battling outside of our community, we're battling inside of our community, and it's driving many of us crazy. Right? So, Tanjan, if I misunderstood you, I apologize. I'm somebody who can straight out apologize. So you're right. I didn't see your earlier comment. I just saw the things about the nails. Right? Okay, I see what you're saying. She said he or she is saying, if I had seen your comment, I would have known that what you were saying is we're being insulted daily about not supporting the Asian nail shops. Oh, yes, baby. I'm sorry. I apologize, beloved. Charge it to my head and not my heart. I just was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because I'm tired of the nonsense. And I'm sorry. I'm just extra irritated by our community. I'm just being honest with y'all tonight. So I didn't mean that. And beloved, when I say I love my community, I love my community. I'm just not going to accept disrespect from our community anymore either. So I do apologize. And you're absolutely correct. Coming from within our what this person is saying, and I apologize. So don't block them. And like I said, people can have their opinions just as long as they're not being disrespectful. What I'm saying is, or what this person is saying is, for those of us who are taking a stance against supporting Asian businesses, and for those of us who are taking a stance to love our blackness and be okay with sharing with one another, supporting one another, talking about our blackness, we have people within our community that are insulting us for taking a stance. And that is intra-racial battle fatigue. Now, this is not what Dr. Smith talks about. This is what Dr. Shonna talks about. Because I think we have to get ourselves to a place when we're not only looking at what's coming in to our community from outside of us, but we have to start examining what's in our community that's hurting us as well. I hope that is making sense. Right? And that's exactly what is happening. We have to deal with the people that's within our community that is elevating white privilege, that is elevating white supremacy, and they're not even aware of it. Right? So I don't know about you guys, but one of the feelings that I have from our community, not just going from outside of our community, but I'm tired. I'm tired fighting the cancerous Negroes in our community. I'm just being honest with you. I am so tired. Thank you so much for that compliment, David. He says I am beautiful. I'm so tired of fighting within our community. Everything is piling on us. And people are riding the wave outside of our community. People are riding the wave inside our community, and it's just making it worse for us. Let me explain what I mean. Think about what's going on here. You guys got to really think critically and look at what's going on here. Let's talk about the pandemic for just a second. This is not going to be a video about the pandemic, so don't worry about it. I'm not telling you guys to take a vaccine. I'm not telling you guys not to take the vaccine. You guys already know my stance on it. Just because this is my stance on it don't mean I'm telling y'all what to do. But I want to talk about the pandemic for just a moment. How is an all-out assault on our community from outside of our community and within our community. The pandemic, how did it now become about race? Think about that for a second, family. Yes, somebody said it's truly exhausting. It's truly exhausting. See, I'm telling you, I'm taking my time with this because I really want y'all to hear what I'm saying. I want y'all really to stop for just a moment and think critically. Almost everything you are hearing about this pandemic, for some reason, has turned toward race, and the race is turned toward us. And I don't know about y'all, but that shit is tiring. Think about the pandemic for a second, with all these outright attacks from within our community. If one of us don't want to take it and we speak out against it, then they want to say that we have misinformation, we're misinformed, and they're attacking us because they're helping their system. When do you not have a right to say what you want to take and what you don't want to take? And then they try to turn it on race. I don't believe that some of these so-called Black leaders are out here talking against the vaccination. Do you know how many people in our community is dying? That shit is tiring. Do you know how many people in our community is dying from poverty? Do you know how many people in our community is dying from health disparities? Do you know how many people in our community is dying from stress on their goddamn jobs that they have to do that nobody else is doing? They got to wear that stress every goddamn day. Do you know how many people in our community are dying or are negatively impacted by human trafficking? But for some reason, this pandemic has turned political, and the target has become Black folks. So that's happening from outside our community and within our community. That shit is tiring. The discussion is always about us. Everything that happens, the discussion is about us. When does this ever stop? And I'm being serious here. How do you tie the pandemic primarily to one race of people? Right? How do you do that? How do you tie the pandemic and couple it with classism and then code it with the icing of race? How do you do that? Does anyone else see this? And it's happening from outside our community and in our community. It is happening from outside of our community and within our community. Think about that for just a moment as it relates to the COVID-19, that pandemic, because there's other pandemics that's out there. But let's just think about COVID-19 for a minute. It's like everything gets highlighted and tied back to us. And then they expect us not to be so irritable. Then they expect us not to be so frustrated, not to be so defensive, not to be so moody, not to be so angry, not to be depressed, not have mental health issues where every time we turn around, everything gets pointed back to us. Right? The other pandemic that is being created, both by those outside of our community and within our community, is the pandemic of race. So we talked about the virus, right? We talked about the pandemic, the actual pandemic of COVID-19 being turned on us. Now, everything you see regarding race is turned on us. You got people with their all-out assaults. They're no longer micro assaults. They're all-out assaults all over social media. Everybody is seen attacking us, attacking us, attacking us, attacking us. Then they strategically put on panels, on news, or on social media interviews, all this stuff. Black people against black people, attacking black people, attacking the black people, attacking the black people. That's all we're seeing every goddamn day. And I don't know about you all, brothers and sisters, but I'm tired. I'm tired. They have made every pandemic possible about us. The pandemic on classism is about us too, both from within our community and outside of our community. Of course, when it's coming from outside of our community, it takes on a whole nother layer. It's more gross and obvious. It's more in your face, and it makes it very apparent that your money's no good here. But what about the classism that comes from within our community against each other as well? It's tiring, family. This shit is tiring. Right? Are we really thinking about this? Are we thinking about racial battle fatigue within our community? Or are we only focused on how white people and other people make us feel? See, because this is what I feel. And when we're only focusing on how white people and other people make us feel, right? What we do is we ignore how we make each other feel. It's like we sweep it under the rug, or we try to make light of it, right? Because it's so much better to blame everybody outside of our community, not realizing that both these jokers are wearing our asses down. And you know who's on the front line? It's us, family. It's the Warriors family. We are the ones on the front line. We are the ones that are experiencing the fatigue, the racial battle fatigue on a daily basis, because every day we're waking up and we're fighting. The people that are ignoring it within our community, they're adding to it. They're adding to our fatigue. Everything is tied back to race. It doesn't matter if it's about the COVID-19. Oh, black people this, black people that. It doesn't matter if it's poverty. Oh, black people this, black people that. It doesn't matter if it's classism. Well, what about the working poor blacks, middle class blacks? Everything is tied back to us. But you know what? Are we really examining what all these different pandemics are highlighting? Whether it's the pandemics on race, the pandemic on class, the pandemic on the virus. Are we realizing that all of this highlights white supremacy? All of this highlights black white supremacy. All of this highlights white privilege and pseudo black privilege. That's what it highlights, because the people having the conversations about it and the people turning it on us are the ones that are looking down on those of us who have to live this life every day, and we don't get the privilege of ignoring it. Does that make sense what I'm saying, family? We don't get the privilege of ignoring it. We can't turn a blind eye to what we're experiencing every day, to what our children are experiencing every day. We can't turn a black eye to it. Right? We got to really think about that. Here's what racial battle fatigue generally describes. Let me go over that real quick. Racial battle fatigue generally describes mental, emotional, physical strains on the ADOS community, the Black community, and the community that identifies as persons of color, POC. And yes, I separated them all for a reason, because we all have different experiences. And I'm not somebody that's going to put us all in the same bag, because we're all not the same. And in fact, I don't want to be like other people. I love to recognize where I descended from in the experience that my family has had for 4 to 5 generations here in America. So I'm not going to put me in a bag with anybody else. I recognize, I acknowledge, I love, and I respect others, but we're not the same. And we all don't have the same experiences. Right? But when we're thinking about racial battle fatigue, it doesn't separate us. It just talks about that we all have these physical, emotional, and mental strains on our community. And it is true. But all of our experiences are different. And at the end of the day, it's an all-out assault on our community. And we have to fight racism from outside our community. We have to fight discrimination from outside and within our community. We have to fight biases from outside and within our community. We have to fight prejudice from outside and within our community. Are you guys catching me? Are you guys catching me? That's a lot of fighting to do. See, some of us, we don't get the luxury to just go under the pillow and put the blanket over our heads, the pillow over our head, and just sleep it away. Some of us, we don't get that luxury. But if we're not honest with ourselves, if we don't start getting really honest about how we are fighting racial battle fatigue from outside of our community and within inside our community, we're never going to fix this thing. Because it's one thing to fight outside of your community. It's another thing when you're trying to punch the obvious enemy in the face in front of you, and you got a joker that looked like you kicking you in your goddamn head. It's kind of hard to fight when you got somebody in front of you and somebody behind you. So just imagine how that looks. Who's going to lose? Not who's going to win, who's going to lose? See, that's the problem that I have with racial battle fatigue. I think Dr. William Smith does a great job with identifying what it is. And I think he has given so many of us, especially those of us in academia, he has given so many of us a platform to talk about our experiences from colleagues, right? White colleagues in the system, the multiple systems that we have to engage in. He has given us all a language that we can use to describe our experience fighting these systems that we are engaging in. But see, what it failed to do, in my opinion, is give us an understanding of how we're fighting a system within our community that is tiring our asses out as well. Is it just me that feels that way? See, what his theory or his theoretical framework, what it fails to do is to examine those of us on the front line in our community, the warriors that are experiencing an all-out assault on our community of intra-prejudice, intra-discrimination, intra-bias, an all-out assault. We can't come on here and just offer an opinion and talk without being fully attacked by people that look like us. We can't stand up and say, you know, we're not going to take this anymore. This has got to stop, without having jokers in our community making it harder for us because they're aligning with the white supremacy or white superiority that exists in America. They find comfort aligning with that. And some of them don't even know that they're aligning with it because they're just so used to being a cancer. Are we going to get into the cancers in this community? We're going to get into the cancers in this community because that's what they are, right? We got to understand that it's very disappointing. It's very disappointing when we see one another outright attacking us. Oh my God, here we go again. This is what y'all doing. This is ridiculous. I can't stand y'all. Oh my goodness. I went to a black business. This is what we got. These goddamn black businesses. This is why I don't F with ninjas. Y'all know y'all don't say ninjas, right? Y'all know y'all say the other word. But I don't F with ninjas for this very reason. And then they go broadcast it. So then we got to deal with a whole bunch of other cancerous people that ain't got nothing positive to say, that discriminates against black businesses, put it out there, shares information that is meant to tear down and destroy, and they don't see nothing wrong with it. Listen, not all Asian businesses are good, but I don't see Asian people having an outright attack or all-out assault on Asian businesses publicly for the whole world to see. Now, let me give you another example about how the cancer in our community works. Let me give you another example. You know how people say in our families, and I know I'm not the only one with family members like this, but there's a lot of people in our family that says, don't dirty your laundry in public. Y'all all heard that before, right? Don't dirty your laundry in public. And we all know what that means. We all know what that means, right? But every day, we dirtying our laundry in public. See, there's a reason why our elders used to say, don't dirty your laundry in public, right? You air that shit out inside. Because I don't know why it was described to you guys a certain way in your family, but I can only tell you why it was described like that in my family. My family was big on not airing your dirty laundry, or not dirty, don't air your dirty laundry in public. That's what it is. I'm sorry, guys. But the reason why they used to say that is because then you give other people outside, not only are you giving them information that's going on within your family, but you give them a leverage, an advantage to infiltrate or attack your family. So you don't want to air your dirty laundry in public because then they're going to use it against you. You just gave them your playbook. Now everybody know that Ray Ray's a crackhead, so to speak. You know what I mean? Or everybody know that your mama sleep with people for money, and that's how y'all go to the private school. So now you become the target for insults, the target for discrimination, the target of gossip, right? We know that. We know that that's how it happens, right? So when you think about how we air our own dirty laundry and how they use it against us, it's very dangerous. And it's tiring to see it. Let me show you. Let me tell you about something I saw on a TikTok. Thank you for that donation, Sid. He's saying liberals are paying black people 30,000 are paying black people 30,000 to open K-8 schools and black communities across the U.S. that teaches from a feminist and gay point of view. See, this is an example of the kind of things that we have to fight up against, right? And so let me tell you why this is an example of having to fight against this kind of racial battle fatigue. Because it's a way of saying how you choose to raise your children and your family, the values, the morals, it don't matter anymore. It's our values and our morals. It don't matter. So they do it to our community. They won't dare go into a Jewish community and pay any of them money to open up a Jewish school to teach these things to their children. They won't dare go into an Arabic community or Islamic community and pay them to open up a school for their children to teach this agenda to their children. They won't dare do it to the Asians. But you know what? It's an all-out attack on us. They do it to us all the time, and we fall for it because we buy into the narrative that this is healthy. So it's also saying that you don't have a right to teach your child morals or your standards, your traditions, your cultures, your belief. You don't have a right to do that for your black child because your black child mind belongs to us. And we get to condition and shape your black child's mind to our fitting. So when we talk out against this is just an example. I'm using it as an example. When we speak out against this, what happens? Not only do the outside community get mad at what we're doing, but they don't have to fight us because they have paid people in our community to fight us for them. right? So now they set up the stage. It's like when you take a little kid. Y'all remember? I know some of y'all were some little bully asses, so y'all know what I'm talking about because a bunch of y'all some bullies too. But it's like you all in a crowded place, and you know child A got beef with child B, and so child C is the instigator. So child C pushes child A into child B so they can see child B fight child A, and child A can't fight, and they get their ass whooped. You understand what I'm saying? Let me say that to you differently. Child C are the progressive liberals, and they're outside of the community, right? The progressive liberals. And the progressive liberals know that there is a community of us that are fighting against this system, right? They know that we're getting tired, right? But they've learned our strategy on how we moving, but they know our weakness. And they know our weakness is big because our weakness comes from within our community. We're not going to expect somebody from within our community, right, to attack us. So our guard is there. But we're also sensitive because we know the history of our community not working together. We know the crab in the barrel mentality in our community. We know the people who will sell your ass out just for some butter biscuits in our community. We know these things exist. And so what Child C does is recognize. So the Child C is the liberals, the progressive liberals. Y'all know who that is. You know, I can't say certain things and y'all want me to get in trouble on YouTube, but y'all know who the progressive liberals are, right? We have the progressive liberals are noticing the weakness with child A and the weakness in child B, but they know that child A and child B are not connected. They're actually enemies. So the progressive liberals puts a bug in the bully's ear, and the bully ear are the people within our community that think higher than those of us who are the majority in our community. They think higher than the undereducated. They think higher than the people who are working class or impoverished. They think higher than the people who don't speak the king's language properly. They think higher of the people who live in the inner cities. So they're the bullies. And the progressive liberals know if I can just push child B into child A, a fight is going to happen. Oh, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. Let me say it a different way because y'all not getting it. So the liberals, the progressive liberals, is child C. We're clear on that, right? And child C comes with a bag of money and a bag of promises. I'm going to put you on TV. I'm going to give you $1 million contract. I'm going to promote you. I'm going to make sure your children get into the best of universities and give your children an endowment to pay for them to go to these university if only you'll fight child A. And that looks pretty delicious, right? When person C tells your ass that you're going to get a raise, a promotion, your children are going to go to the best schools and you ain't going to have to worry about it. You're going to live in a better community. You're going to rise above everybody else if you just do X, Y, and Z. Looks kind of delicious. So child B is already greedy. It's already hungry to separate from child A because I'm nothing like child A. And the only thing they needed was a push from child C. And that's exactly what's happened in our community. That's what's happening in our community. And this is what we have to contend with on a daily in our community. It's tiring. And that's what racial battle fatigue looks like within our community. We got to fight child C. We got to fight child B. Everywhere you turn around is a constant reminder that the war is on our head. Every commercial you see is a constant reminder that the war is on our head. Every time you turn around, somebody has to apologize for making racially insensitive comments. The war is on our head. Now they canceled Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss is canceled because his books are racist. And you know what they pointed out? Whose head is the war on? You know that war is on our head. Everybody is using our struggle and our plight as a platform for their agenda. And it is tiring. Everybody is using our struggle and our fight every day as a platform for their motives, for their agenda. And it's tiring. We're tired. There's an all-out assault if we have a difference of opinion in our community. You got people calling stupid Negroes this, stupid Negroes that. You got people taking jabs at each other on social media, taking jabs at each other in interviews. It's all set. We are like, you know what? You know what it reminds me of? Remember the teachings of our history, how the oppressor used to make us fight each other for their entertainment, right? Y'all remember that? I know y'all. What's changed? Right? Everybody gets entertained by watching us air our dirty laundry in public. I said I was going to tell y'all what I saw on TikTok, right? Well, I'm not on TikTok. What I saw somebody share on Instagram from TikTok. It was a white girl. And she said something about, let's see if you can say you got black friends without verbally saying you have black friends. And I'm paraphrasing. I forgot how she said it. But she's on TikTok with her camera turned, in the selfie view, and she's recording herself. And she said, how do you say you have black friends without saying you have black friends? And she said, well, I'll start. It's 2:00 p.m. and we were told to be here before 2. And she turns her camera around and she shows that there's no chairs. And she said, I'm actually the only one that's here before 2. And then when like 2:15, 2:20 came around, she shows her camera around. There's a little bit of black people sitting over there and they all talking. It looks like a little ladies gathering. And then an hour later, she turns her camera and then there's more black people showing up and there's still some empty chairs. And that was the end of her TikTok. But where do you think she got that from? Where do you think she got that from? That is something that we have publicly said all the time, and we have made fun of this among white people plenty of times. Oh, girl, please. CP time, that means color people time. They'll be here soon. Just be patient, girl. Oh, you the only one here. Next time, don't come so early. You're going to learn, girl. Oh, you're going to be a part of this family. You're going to learn. We always late. Oh, don't worry about it, girl. Get here 2:30, 3 o'clock. You be fine. Everybody going to be late. We on CP time. So we saying that to our one so-called white friend. And so now she's on TikTok and she's saying, how do you say that you have black friends without saying you have black friends? And she's doing that. But I bet you all those jokers, this is what the cancer, we're about to get the cancers in our community. I'm about to get to that right now. I bet you all those cancerous people would still be cool with her, being her friend. They will find it funny. They will find it funny when they realize that she shared it on TikTok. And you know something? A couple of other black people sent it in my inbox and they were laughing. Word. Ha 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 ha, because they think it's so funny. Word. Thank you for that, author. I appreciate that. Thank you for generously giving away your clinical knowledge for the purpose of helping the masses to understand and relieve the racial distress. Thank you for that, sister. But that's what happened. See, that's what racial battle fatigue looks like when it's on the outside and on the inside. Because not only did I have to be disturbed that a white girl is doing this for her followers because she thinks it's funny, because we have gotten so comfortable airing our dirty laundry in front of her. And then I'm also frustrated and aggravated that Black people who are her friends is okay with this as well. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like when you are battling it from the outside and the inside. That is exactly how it looks. And this is what we are going through. The constant shaming in our community is tiresome as well. Now, it's okay to address situations and do it from a critical standpoint to help people see how they may be contributing to the problem. That's okay. But when you outright formulate a full-fledged assault on a member of the community, and it's funny, it's meant to be funny, it's meant to shame, it's meant to embarrass, it's draining. So it makes other people who want to step up and be warriors and fight this system that we're fighting, makes them not want to do it because they don't want to run the risk of having to fight one of their sisters and brothers from within the community, because it's a poison within our community as well. Then we got the sellouts, the sellout galore, the people who are proud to be sellouts, the people who outright speak out against our community, the people that says, oh, well, they're probably on welfare, crackheads, baby mamas, deadbeat daddies, and they're coming from within our community, and they're not educated or edifying to lift up the community or to give the community some different strategies of how we can fix our illnesses, but instead they highlight it for the pleasure of others taking interest in it, but not interest to help us, but interest in finding out another way to attack us. You see what I'm saying? You understand where I'm coming from with that? And we feed into this. So we got to fight the sellouts. We got to fight the Negroes. You know what I mean? We got to fight the ignorant ones or the ignoramuses. We got to fight so many people. We got to fight the outright racists. We got to fight the Black white supremacists. We got to fight so many people that ain't funny. It's tiring. It's tiring. I'll say it like this. Too many people in our community are dying from the cancer cells in our community. And I'm not talking about cancer how you know it. See, think about how this happens. Let me give you this analogy, what I'm thinking of, and I'm out of here. I'm gone. Let me give you this analogy. When I say the cancer cells in our community, y'all do know how cancer works, right? You do know how cancer works. And for those of you guys who don't know how cancer works, cancer pretty much in layman terms are when the cells in your body are not dying off for new cells to come, or some of the cells are mutating, right? And they're taking over and they're killing the healthy cells in your body. That's what a cancer is. So I want y'all to think about it like this. When we think about intra-racial battle fatigue, right? I want you to think about it this way. We got some members of our community who are mutating. They're changing. They're still within a body. Think about your body. They're still within the body of our community, but because we're not checking in, and because we're not taking care of the body, that's our community, we're not taking care of the body in our community, they're multiplying. They're mutating. And they're destroying the body from within. Y'all feel what I'm saying? You're following me? They're destroying the body from within. And you know how some of us are, right? We refuse to go to the doctor. We feel that something is wrong, but we don't really go to the doctor until it gets too damn late. And then they're like, you got cancer stage 4, you're going to die. You understand what I'm trying to say? Some of us, we don't go. And some of the things that we do, some of the cancers that we do really get in our community, we can avoid it if only we had our normal checkups, right? Just give you an example. So now intervention becomes harder. And we try to change it. We try to fight it. We try to treat it. We try to cut it out of our community, but we can't because it has mutated so much. So now the body is taking over. And we're like saying we don't do something about it. And we don't cut off that part of our community. It's going to get worse. So some of us, we go in and we operate. And we try to cut out the cancer people in our community. Cut them out. Get rid of them. But it has already metastasized. That means it has already spread it. So yeah, we may cut off this one person, but that one person, all of their nasty negative words that they have spewed about our community has already spread it throughout the community. So now we are up against something we can't fix because it has taken over. Does that make sense, family? Does that make sense, family? It has taken over our community. And it's sick. And then what's happening is people outside of our community recognize that there's a sickness in our community, and they're showing up to convince us that they have a cure for us. And the cure is not from within our community, it's from the outside of our community. Right? And we don't realize that every time we take the so-called cure from outside of our community, we're actually getting worse. We're actually getting worse. You understand what I'm saying? Are y'all following me, sisters and brothers? So who are the cancers in our community? I hope y'all okay with the speed that I went. I had to slow it down, right? I had to slow it down. I hope you guys are okay with the speed because I want y'all to capture that. So I end by saying, who are the cancers in our community? I want y'all to recognize that. Because we got to really start looking at the cancers in our community to get an understanding of why we're not healing, to get an understanding of why we are wearing our asses out. See, if you don't know who your enemy is, if you don't know who you're fighting, you're going to lose. See, some of us, we out there with the gun and we don't even know who the enemy is. We just have a joker telling us, well, your oppressor's the enemy. So we all out angry at the oppressor. Meanwhile, the joker that's telling us that our oppressor is the enemy is on the radio control talking to the oppressor, letting them know our location. That's what the cancer looks like in our community. So we got to start identifying. See, it's easy. It's easy for us to say, oh, this person would be considered a cancer. Oh, this organization would be considered a cancer. Oh, these people will be considered a cancer. That's easy. That's the obvious. That's the gross and the obvious. But are you a cancer? I'm just saying. Are you a cancer? So think about it. Like for example, let's take what young elder is saying right now for just a moment. Young elder saying the church is a cancer. Now I know that many people in our community will agree with the young elder, but I'm gonna get churchy on you for just a second. Just a second, I'm gonna get churchy. Now, those of you guys in the Christian community, who makes up the church? This is what I mean when I say we have to think critically. Who makes up the church? Come on, family. See, it's easy for us to say the church. The church. The church. The church. And I'm not saying you're wrong. But who makes up the church? There you go, naturally, G, right? We are the church. So if we are the church, who is the we? See, when people say we are the church, what they would never say, because when you point out the obvious and they start to get it, when you start to give it to them in a way that makes them think critically, it's easier to say we are the church than it is to say I am the church. Oh, y'all didn't catch that. Y'all didn't catch that. See, everybody likes to say, oh no, I'm not the problem. Because not every church is the same. All churches are different. My church is different. Because then they don't want to have to critically examine their belief system and how their belief system is perpetuating the madness. Oop. Really think about it. People don't want to think about it. They rather shoot back, fight against what I'm saying, as opposed to sitting back and just thinking about it. See, here it goes. I told you, always run. No, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Always run. Some churches aren't bad at all, just like everything in life. You see what I mean when I say that? Racial battle fatigue. This is spiritual battle fatigue too. This is spiritual that battle fatigue too. Right? You're right, Bryce. Religion was not created by God. Here's my YouTube boo. I got an Instagram boo and a YouTube one. He says, I thought Sky Daddy was going to save us, right? Right? This is what people do. Not all churches are bad, right? Right? Right, Jay? Right? This is what people do. But they don't want to sit back and think critically. They don't want to think about the mindset that is taught in the church that is actually not helping our community. It's actually hurting our community because they have been conditioned to believe otherwise. Although their life don't reflect it, they will say, oh, my life through. No, your life do not. Know your life. Stop lying to yourself. See, that's the problem. Our community likes to lie to ourselves. I'm just saying. Somebody help Anthony out because Anthony is confused. Anthony, we talk about the cancers in our community. And we're not literally talking about cancer as in sickness. We're talking about the cancers in our communities, the members of our community that is actually harming our community more than they are helping. That's what we're talking about, Anthony. I don't want you to be confused. Let me know if you understand that. And so when I asked who are the cancers, people were naming different entities and different people in our community that can be considered a cancer. And somebody said the church. And I said, you see what we do, Anthony? I'm just recapping it, Anthony, because I don't want you to be confused. Thank you for that donation, Frankie. I don't want you to be confused. So I'm just recapping it. Because the person who said the church, I already saw that as the problem. Because in the Christian world, the church is made up of the people. The body, the body of Christ is what they say, is what the church is. And who's the body? See, it's easy to say we are the body as opposed to saying I am the body. Take your own accountability. Because if you're saying the church, which is a white religion that has been given to you and have conditioned you to subconsciously serve a white supreme being. See, y'all don't want to talk about this, and this is the problem. Y'all don't want to talk about this. That's a cancer. That's a cancer. And it's part of the problem. So nobody wants to talk about that part. Everybody just wants to ignore that. And then nobody wants to say I. They rather say we are the church as opposed to I am the church. Because if you say I am the church, then you say I'm part of the problem. You ain't ready for it. You ain't ready for it. Everybody else got it but Anthony. Everybody else got it but Anthony. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about when I say we can easily look outside of ourselves and identify the cancer, but to admit that you're cancerous, oh, baby, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. See, that's what critical thinking causes you to do. When I went and I looked up racial battle fatigue, and I said I was going to talk about that on my mental health day. I was going to talk about racial battle fatigue. The reason why I said I was going to talk about it, because everyone loves to promote the theoretical framework of racial battle fatigue because it makes the enemy outside of ourselves. Oh, y'all ain't ready for this. It makes the enemy outside of ourselves. So it's okay to look at racial battle fatigue as identifying the system of white supremacy and racism, and individuals who promote the system of white supremacy and racism. It's easy to identify those folk, but it's harder when you have to look at yourself and say that I too am promoting the system of racism and white supremacy. It's a different kind of story. Thank you for that, Elvis. Elvis says Neely Fuller Jr. Oh, yes, that's my man. If you don't understand white supremacy and racism, everything that you do understand will only confuse you. This is a prime example. Thank you for that, brother. A prime example. This is what critical thinking looks like. We just can't say, oh, we're tired from only fighting white people and other racist people that are hurting us. We need to be tired of ourselves. Not only fighting each other, but we need to be tired that we too are contributing to the madness. I'm just saying. Listen, family, I ain't going to try to keep you all night. I ain't going to keep you all night. Right? That's right here, Michelle. The image of white Jesus is subconscious brain fuckery. You're absolutely right. And the thing is when we don't address that, when we don't start analyzing, what's the Nicene Council? And what does the Nicene Council has to do with the Bible? And who decided what was going to go in the Bible and what was going to come out of the Bible? And where did this really all start? And why are there so many names that don't relate to the place where this actually started? Paul doesn't sound like a Hebrew name now, does it? No one asked those questions because those questions would it would make you question what you are teaching and if what you are teaching is accurate. Right? See, the church, and I'm just pointing out the church because somebody named the church as the cancer. The church nor the system of white supremacy teaches you to think critical. The church nor the system of white supremacy teaches you to think critically. Because you have been conditioned not to question. Do understand this. That has nothing to do with your personal relationship. Do understand this. This has nothing to do with your spirituality. I'm just stating facts. So what makes you so afraid to think critically as opposed to regurgitating what you've been told? I'm just saying. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. What would you lose to think critically? What would you lose to question? You're right. Somebody said schools ain't teaching critically thinking either because the school is a cancer too. The school is a cancer too. Let me tell you something. Well, my youngest is not in a public school system, nor is my youngest in a white school system. Just being honest, he's not. But if you haven't learned anything from this pandemic, that there are so many resources out there for you to educate your own child, and you don't have to send your child to a school. But how many of us are going to do it? How many of us are going to do it? But then we complain about the system that our children are in, but have yet to do anything to change it. So you can't change that system. You can't. The whole shit has to be destroyed and built back up, and you don't got the power to do that. But you do have the power to shake up the system by taking your child out of it. I'm just saying. I'm just giving y'all a thought. I'm just giving y'all an idea. I'm not telling you what to do. Do whatever you want to do. I'm just giving you an idea. You do have the power to do that. No one is taking that away from you. Now, you might find all the reasons why you cannot do it, but it doesn't mean that it is not an option, because it is an option. Finding all the reasons why you cannot do it and it not being an option are two different things. So when I say, let's start identifying the cancers in the community, that thought process is a cancer too. That thought process is a cancer too. See, when you start to challenge your thoughts, when you start to think critically and you challenge your thoughts, things start to make sense in a whole different arena. It starts to make sense on a whole different level. When I look at my 7-year-old who does multiplication, division, fractions, and all the other shit that they teach him, meaning the school that he's in, which is a Black school, Zions Institute. And before then, it was Torchlight, both Black-owned schools, ran by us, for us. The stuff that my child knows at 7, he's on a 4th and 5th grade level, 7. See, when you see the beauty within your own community and you're actually the cure and you don't go to get the treatment for the cancer from an outside community who don't know your community, who don't know your body, who doesn't know your belief system, your cultures, your understanding, and how you operate, who don't know you, who's only studying you from the outside and making a lot of judgment calls about who you are and what you need. See, when you allow them to rob you from the opportunity to make your own decisions, it's called self-determination. When you give them that power over you, you lose. But to think critically is saying, I have been losing. And nobody wants to see themselves as a loser. When I look at how much my 7-year-old knows and that he smashes anybody he's around, their 7-year-olds are still trying to read. My dude is reading chapter books. They're stumbling. Their child is stumbling on the words in the public school system, and my child is murdering them. Because I realized that if I send him to the public school like I did my older children, I am contributing to the problem. I too am creating an ongoing cancer by allowing his mind to be conditioned and brainwashed. And then in turn, when he has children, he would condition and brainwash them, thus making me part of the problem. But I had to do that critical work. I had to do that critical work. I had to turn it inward. I have to look at me and say, how am I contributing to the generational breakdown by continuing to do the same things? I have to step out of the workforce and exercise my power to be able to do that. Because I had to start seeing shit for what it was. And do you know I have made more money on my own than I ever done as an employee? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's because when you look at the power within you, the power that you have, everything you need to succeed is already in you. When you look at what you have and you start to see the world differently and you start to think critically, you stop pointing the finger so much at others. And you learn to pick up that mirror and look at yourself and say, am I a cancer? See, it's okay. You got to be, thank you for that donation, sis. You got to be willing to tell the truth. You got to be willing to tell the truth about how you are showing up. I'm just saying. So I end this broadcast by saying, what did he say? 7-year-old going to black private school versus 14-year-old in the public school. Scary thing. I'm trying to tell y'all. I'm telling y'all. See it every day. My son and Michiek's son in the same school. And she live in ATL and I live in Jersey. Our sons go to the same school. And our children are beasts. My child don't think like other children. My children has a killer understanding of money. My 16-year-old has Bitcoin, Doge, and what's that other cryptocurrency? Another cryptocurrency. He also has regular stocks. He also has Beyond Meat. He has Tesla, you name it. They don't think like other children. Because I had to recognize that we were a cancer. Thank you for that donation, sis. I had to recognize that we were a cancer and we are the cure. It's a difference. So I'm only putting that out there so you can understand that when you recognize that you are the cancer, then you know what you need to cure yourself. Stop looking at others to cure you. Because they're not going to cure you. They're going to maintain your sickness. That's why you have all these props that are coming up, making you angry every day about blackness, making you angry every day on race topics that you're paralyzed. You can't do nothing else. Your life hasn't even changed. You're just angry every day. Just saying. You're just angry every day. right? Frankie saying that makes sense. It took a long time for me to step outside the matrix. I lost a lot of friends, but I don't want friends. I want like-minded people to be around me, right? It's a different ball game when you wake up. So, beloveds, I'm out. I just want y'all to know that, listen, we're battling racial battle fatigue from the outside. We are battling racial battle fatigue from the inside of our community. We have cancer cells within our community. Some of us are cancer cells ourselves. It's about being critical in your thought process, truly examining how you're contributing to our racial battle fatigue, and then make a decision to change. I love y'all, family, and I'm out. See you all on Sunday.